Today we'll start with 35 rapid exhales through the nostrils, followed by holding on the exhale, and then again breathing in and holding on the inhale. When you do that, don't clamp your throat to hold the air in, just use your muscles of your chest to hold yourself up and open, or push all the air out and down, and that way the air could pass freely through your throat at any time if you were to change what your body was doing. Sit up nice and straight, keep the back of your head up and back, keep your shoulders down and relaxed. This requires some muscular effort to do, but at the same time, all the other muscles in your face and your body and everywhere else should be as utterly relaxed as possible. Keep your mind kind of focused on what you're doing. Obviously, for me, that's difficult because I'm trying to talk at the same time that I'm trying to breathe, that I'm trying to manage the broadcast. Not that there's a lot to do. Again, we've got the wonderful artwork of Ethan Walsh here on the right side. Is the left? Well, I guess it's my right, it's your left. Anyways, let's begin. Seat in a comfortable position. We'll breathe for about 20 minutes, and then I've only been doing this for about a week now, and I'm still having some problems where I end up probably just being way, way, way too high when I'm doing it, and I'm not going to attribute it to weed, because I can do lots of things on weed when I'm not weed. What do I call it? What does everybody else in the world call it now? Cannabis? Anyways, so when I'm stoned, let's breathe. Alright, it might help you to clear your nostrils beforehand, so blow your nose, do whatever. I'm sorry that I always end up doing it on camera, but I'm not. 3 normal breaths. And repeat. when you have a cold or you're starting to get a cold, you want to do all this stuff as much as possible because it'll just clear out your respiratory tract. I mean, I think the best thing I could do for myself if I start getting sick would be to just go running shirtless in like the rain when it's like 2 degrees outside. When I say two, I mean Celsius, not Fahrenheit. When it's like 35 degrees outside or something like that, so you can just, you know, the cold rain hits your body and your body just panics. And, you know, you get that feeling like, oh crap, and you're shivering and you're wet, and your only choice is to either get inside or to run faster and start breathing harder. So while you're running, you know, I do a lot of the this rapid exhale through my nose when I start running. For the first 2 or 3 minutes, I'll do this breathing style while I'm jogging just to get my body warmed up and not in a state of panic just from the cold wetness. But I mean, once you get through that, then, you know, it's actually kind of fun because you don't sweat, and, you know, no matter how hard you go, it's like you still got that tingling cold kind of terrible. Well, it's an amazing sensation because cold water on your body is terrible when you feel sick and when you feel weak. It's the worst thing that can happen is to be, you know, imagine if you're in bed with a fever and somebody comes in and they dump a bucket of ice water on you. It would be hell. But then if you're, you know, feeling the best you ever have in your whole life and you're outside and it's a sunny day and there's no one around and you find this crystal clear little pool of water, I mean, nothing feels better than to just tear off your clothes and jump into it and swim. And the feeling of that ice water on your body, then it's like you can suddenly, the edge of your entire body is like completely defined, and, you know, it's just extreme stimulation. You just feel like, you know, you can't even put into words just that whole thing that's happening. Like, it's like when you go in the ocean when it's really cold when you want to. Anyways, the point is that, like, this breathing should be able to give you the ability to enjoy the cold or get feeling good enough about your body. I mean, basically just feeling good enough that if you, strong enough that if you encounter something that's ice cold, like water being either dumped on you or that you're jumping into, or whatever, the rain falling on you as you run in the park, whatever it is, that water would just, you know, be a source of kind of like a spur to life. It's like, you know, it's like, I mean, you know what it's like. So let's do it again. 35 out through the nose, followed by holding on the exhale and then holding on the inhale, and then 3 short breaths. Again. I was all excited to tell you something. I was going to tell you right after we finish that one, but it's gone. Let's go again. Oh yeah. If you start wheezing, if you have the weird asthmatic sounds that you hear, don't get embarrassed. I mean, listen to me. My lungs sound horrible when I'm doing that nose breathing. I've got like a weird wheeze thing in my septum or whatever it is, but you know, I'm probably the person who should be doing it the most. It's just like all the people who have the thing that tells people they shouldn't do it are probably the people who are going to benefit from it strongly. If that makes any weird sense. The same way that like the people who get the highest are the ones who get stoned the most often. Does that kind of tie in? Can we go that far to say that there's some weird parallel relation between the weakness and the benefit? All right. Again? No more tissue. I do. I'm only blowing my nose all the time because otherwise, in the middle of the breathing, I feel like I can't go all out. Snot might fly from my nose and get on the camera. Here we go. And again. I'm definitely trying too hard. Okay. Um, okay. Now let's hold on the exhale. We'll do 10 counts of that and then 20 counts of the 1-4-2 ratio. So with the exhale, what we're going to do is we'll breathe in for 3 seconds, exhale for 6 seconds, and then hold out for 12 seconds, and we'll do it 10 times. You hold out again. Don't clamp your throat at the top to hold the air out. Just push with all of the muscles in your chest to collapse your lungs and keep the air out with using only that. Again, don't strain too much. Try not to strain, just relax. Here we go. Okay. Let's begin now by breathing in for 4 seconds, holding our breath for 16 seconds, and then breathing out for 8 seconds. All right. Well, I can't say that I finished. Well, I think in the last few, I started really feeling more relaxed. There's a, I think it's like with running, how you don't really start to even feel what it's like to run until you've been running for a while, and then when you run about 3 miles, um, so I mean, obviously there's different sensations of running at short distances and whatnot, but I mean, when you're running like 5 miles or 6 miles or something, like, you really start to feel something a little bit different though when you get to around 3 or 4 mile mark. And, it's like your body and you and then the experience of just kind of running kind of blend together. And I'd say the breathing too, it's like there's this kind of like intuitive spot you find when you're doing the breathing long enough where suddenly it's like you're not having to force things. It's like there's this new position of relaxation that you can find while still having good posture and still holding your breath, and all of a sudden it's like you're sitting up and your lungs are expanded, but at the same time you're like, ah. And for me, I mean, I can equate it to something from DMT or something where, in this chaotic stream of, images and patterns and kind of like kaleidoscope of color and line and shape and form, and everything's vibrating at this like electric frequency that's, it's almost like a painfully, visually, everything was visually oscillating almost to the same pitch. It was like almost audibly, like sine waves covering everything, but in much more uniform shape than you normally see them. And then, so having that be kind of like overset with like all of the content of life in the universe, and thinking about, evolution and society and all of these things just all kind of overlaid on each other. And, it was just too much, and it's pure chaos. Just, it's everything. And then at the same time, there's two directions that we go, outward and inward. And I know that sounds cliche, but if you are able to kind of visualize what an inward turn might be, and that there is no content on the inside. I mean, everything in your life is something that happened to you outside of you. I mean, there's nothing that's ever happened in you or in your mind that has any substance that creates a visual image that you could point to. So it's like your interior is completely blank. It's completely white. It manifested to me as like almost like a white triangle that I entered into, and it just suddenly, peace, calm, quiet, like this room that I'm in now. That's interior, and everybody's got it. It's just that no one's ever taught anybody how to go to it or how to look at it. It doesn't have to be white. It could be, it's just whatever the contentless form is for your subjective experience. If all content were to be removed, like, what is the form itself of you? I mean, or God, or whatever it is that you attribute to yourself. But anyways, I mean, and I think that the breathing may be able to help people quickly in an everyday setting go inward rather than outward. God, it's happening, They say that those who solve the mystery become the mystery, and maybe I'm just brainwashing myself and deluding myself, but I think at a certain point, like when you're talking about intuitive knowledge, like things that you feel in your body, or things that you figured out, something you didn't learn at school, something that didn't get taught to you from an external source, or that isn't necessarily structured 100% in language, but just something that you literally, like, I mean, you experience it directly in part of your life, and then therefore that becomes your awareness of it, or your understanding of it, or your knowledge of it is kind of like experiential knowledge. And that well, I know it's time to go and I forget what I'm talking about.